gun shy, they're unsure, or they're just not sure how to market the adaptive side of things to people.
Yeah, also I imagine being proximity-wise, being close to the industry would have something to do with it. Jesse's like right there, in the heart of it, whereas we're here in New York. We tend to be, unfortunately, or fortunately, kind of left out of that whole world. Sometimes that works to our advantage, sometimes it doesn't.
Even when, like, people will reach out to me through social media, they won't realize that I'm from New York.
Really?
And, like, you tell them you're from New York, and they're like, wait a second, because everybody thinks New York's just the concrete jungle. If you're not from here, like, there's water, too. So I think if I was based in California, maybe there would be more chance for interaction and those opportunities. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I think, I also think like the profile of adaptive surfers they're just starting to really grow also. I think we're at a point where surfing is becoming more inclusive and less exclusive. And I think maybe we're hopefully seeing more open-mindedness from the industry and understanding and seeing opportunity. To me, like, if I were in a surf clothing brand, I would be like, yo, let's sponsor this guy. He's in New York, heart of where money is and the media agencies and everything. And he surfs, like you have all the markings to make you stick out so much that you could. I have one of my buddies that jokes with me all the time. He's like, Dill, you look like the drummer from a rock band. Yes.
And you're in a wheelchair, like you're from New York City. There's selling points for these companies. It's like you shouldn't be shocked that you're getting the media attention or people are interested in your story because there's everything about me, for whatever reason, there's an angle that people find unique.
Absolutely. I think, if I were an agent, I'd be like, yeah, this is kind of an awesome opportunity because you have this wonderful point of reference, like that's different from everything out there. Like, to be honest, like I'm so bored of seeing some kid from Southern California, sponsored who can, who looks indistinguishable from the next,
And I think part of my naiveness towards the surf industry is no one in my family surfed before me.
Right.
Like my dad's from Greenpoint, Brooklyn in the 70s.
Oh, nice.
My mom's from the Bronx in the 70s. They didn't really know anything about surfing except for Rockaway Beach, and they grew up in apartment buildings and things like that. So it's unfamiliar territory to me, and like I know about professional surfing and I know professional surfers, but I don't revere them the same way as the athletes in the other sports that I'm a fan of, because that wasn't ingrained in me from a young age.
Yeah, not like me, who kind of gets all queasy and nervous around Tom Curran or some pro surfer,
I would do that around Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid.
And so when we were hanging out with Curran, you're like, yeah, cool, he plays guitar really well. And I'm like, scared to talk to him.
I knew who he was and I know his accomplishments, but I'm not gonna be all googly eyed.
That's
like
me.
as if it was, I'm a humongous Islander fan, as if it was Mike Bossy in the room just having a one-on-one conversation with me about how he scored 50 goals in 50 games.
Well, I think that works to your advantage probably then, Yeah. I want to talk about your two nonprofits that you work with. Could you discuss first We the 15 and what that is and how you got involved with that?
So the We the 15 campaign was a campaign that Facebook came up with to showcase the 15% of the world that has a disability.
Mm-hmm.
And they decided that they were going to put out these 4 short films showcasing adaptive sports. And the person who ended up getting the U.S. contract just happened to be Mikey DeTemple.
Nice.
Who
Love him.
Cliffy so eloquently coined the first ever New York hipster surfer.
Yep.
So
Yep.
he basically reached out to me when he got the contract and was like, do you mind if I speak to you about this opportunity? I knew nothing about it before Mikey approached me because it's not like it was widely publicized. It was under wraps at that point until the films came out, like what they were doing. But this was all in celebration of the Paralympics that were this year.
Yeah.
So Mikey got the contract and he was like, I got this contract. You're perfect for it. Let's do this. And it wasn't until the day that we actually filmed that I realized what it was.
Yeah.
Because just so everybody has a little bit of background on what ended up being the We the 15 campaign was, there was 4 different short films that were done from different regions of the world.
Oh my gosh. And you're like the US one.
I was the US representative, as scary as that is.
That's epic. That's so freaking rad.
And then we have Surf for All, which is the nonprofit arm of Scoot and Surf.
And
that's the most special thing for me to be a part of, is just getting people of all different walks of life, regardless of what their background is, what challenges they may face. It doesn't have to be a disability. It could be social circumstances and things like that. It's just getting everybody in the water to enjoy surfing. And the cool thing about Surf for All is, a few years ago, we came up with the idea of, aside from the daily outings where everybody comes and surfs, we run an adaptive camp that's 4 weeks long.
Amazing.
Alongside the kids at Scoot and Surf, where these kids will come for a week at a time. They'll learn how to surf instead of going home and this is your one time surfing for the year. You're learning how to surf, and hopefully you'll take that forward for the rest of your life and like make it a part of your life, as I did.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Now, how do those people so let's say they do the program, how do they continue on then? They have to find, if someone who's of a similar disability to yours, like they would have to find someone to go surfing with them still, correct?
Yeah. But I think the cool thing about Surf for All and the Scootins is they see all the different kids that really enjoy it, and they make a point and an effort, and Janine Sorensen, who's like the administrator behind it all, make a point to the families of the kids that really fall in love.
Yeah.
Like, we can make this happen more often and make it a part of the routine going forward. There becomes a comfort level between the families and the instructors, as it did with me. Like, these guys aren't just the people that I surf with, they're my friends too.
Yeah.
So there's a comfort level between everybody involved.
Is there so go on.
If the spark is there, like, everybody's aware of, we got to make sure you're able to do this again.
Is there a way for like someone like me who would want to volunteer? Could we?
Yeah, of course.
Where can we go for that?
You go to surforall.org, and there's obviously the link to donate, but there's also a way to inquire about volunteering.
Is there training we'd have to go through as well, you think? Or
so there's not usually training, but we like to get a good baseline of who's volunteering and get familiar with them before you come down and you help out at the events, especially because you want to be familiar with the circumstances and the different things that people could bring to the table. Because so there will be people that aren't necessarily comfortable in the water that want to come volunteer, and that's cool. You could come volunteer on land. So you don't ever want to shy anybody away.
Right.
But you want to know what their skill level is.
Totally.
So there's a form that anyone who's interested in volunteering fills out, and then going forward, like somebody will get in touch with them. Usually it's a friend of someone who knows something about the program, and there's some sort of familiarity. There's not really a lot of people coming from completely out of the dark. There's like no out of the blue things. And even if there is, like, that can be awesome. Like, we had a kid a few years ago who's now he's in medical school.
Oh, wow.
He's from Westchester. The second summer that we did the 4-week adaptive camp, he came down every day from Westchester to help out and get these kids in and out of the water. And it was just from sending an email, hey, this is who I am. I'm wondering how I can help. So, like, you don't ever know who can be benefiting from this. Like, I never would have met this kid if he didn't come down to Surf for All, and now it's somebody that I consider a close friend, and he took countless hours out of his day for a substantial amount of time to get complete strangers in the water and help however he could.
Nice. So let's talk wave pools here now. So you had the opportunity to go to Slater's wave pool at the Surf Ranch.
There's a story before the Surf Ranch.
Oh, yeah? Let's hear it.
So
I like stories.
I was going to Puerto Rico, where the Scootins run a business wintertime for about 4 or 5 days. And TJ Gamella, that's another friend of ours, said, when you come down to Puerto Rico, there's somebody that I want you to meet. I had no idea who this person was. One day, I'm in the water. I come out of the water. It was probably head high, and I was in the water with OC at Maria's. And I caught one wave with OC and made it all the way in, made some crazy cut back on the wave, and didn't really think anything of it. I saw somebody watching me. And later on, TJ was like, I'm going to come by where you're staying, and there's somebody that I want you to meet. I come to
suspense is killing me.
I come to realize that it's Rick Solomon, who's a professional poker player who's friends of Kelly Slater.
No way.
And it ends up that I formed a friendship with Rick following the trip, and like we kept in touch afterwards. And I'd say I was home from Puerto Rico about 3 weeks, and I had seen a video of him surfing at the Surf Ranch because he's really tight with Kelly, and he would go there and surf whenever he could. And jokingly, I wrote to him after seeing the video of him, next time you're going, I want to come. 3 weeks later, we're on a plane to the